Hi, this is Taryn Grome, editor of Pharma Voice. We met with numerous inspirational thought leaders at this year's DIA annual conference as part of our Editors Take video series. I hope you enjoy this discussion.
In this episode, Taryn meets with Cynthia Verst, President, R&D Design and Delivery Innovation, IQVIA.
Cynthia, welcome to Boston and the 2018 DIA.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Taryn.
Thank you so much also for participating in our Editors Take video program. We'll get started with a great question, I hope. I understand that IQVIA has adopted a new approach to clinical development that aims to address many of the pain points the industry is challenged with today. Can you tell me what IQVIA is doing and why?
Sure thing. You know, it's an exciting time within the industry, and IQVIA is actually really bringing forward the core. And what we mean by that is actually it's a four-pronged approach. It's domain expertise, that is therapeutic and operational expertise. It's data analytics and programmatic capability. And it's combining that domain expertise with our very rich data assets, combined with advanced analytics, and then, of course, technology enabled. So those four things come together and power up what we call the core that's actually dramatically changing the way that we actually design as well as execute clinical trials.
That's fascinating. And so how is IQVIA using real-world data, which seems to be the big buzz at this DIA, advanced analytics and machine learning, also big buzzes, as part of this approach to advanced clinical development?
Yeah, so great question. And what we're really doing is addressing some of those very pain points that you've highlighted. So for instance, protocol amendments. Tufts data suggests that 60% of clinical trials are associated with at least one avoidable protocol amendment. And half of that 60% are, in fact, indeed avoidable. So we're using our core to actually be more predictive in identifying issues and helping to avoid protocol amendments. And, of course, the second big issue is these unproductive investigators. And to the best of our ability, in the past, we've actually relied on experiential information. How have they performed most recently or previously? Now, that data are still very important, and we're bringing that forward, and we're linking it with real-world evidence to suggest, the patient population being, in fact, present at these investigators and leveraging predictive analytics to get to more productive sites that have the right patient populations. And, of course, whereby helping to accelerate patient recruitment. We know that 80% of trials are associated with delays and predominantly due to patient recruitment. So we're really harnessing the core and designing trials more deliberately, predictively, and helping to actually increase R&D productivity and accelerate timelines along the way.
They say technology is one of the biggest forces for collaboration today. Are you finding that true in terms of your interactions with your sponsors as well as other companies?
Yeah, indeed. Each and every one of these solutions on their own is required but insufficient. Technology is absolutely pivotal. Digitalization, another buzzword, and helping to connect, if you will, patients to, our care centers, connecting, if you will, and powering up automation and scale. Because, all of these insights that we're developing, the other slant here is speed. We have to be able to generate insights very rapidly to get it to the very point of decision making to actually change and encourage an optimized outcome.
Fantastic. And finally, can you describe how all the efforts you're talking about are having an impact across the clinical development spectrum, from defining protocols and designing trials to improving patient recruitment and enrollment? Some of the things you just talked about.
Yeah, so, we think about this as, concurrent work streams. These are certainly not sequential because we just we don't have the time to do these, in a sequential manner. But concurrently, all of that R&D productivity gains that we just talked about with IQVIA Core, we're also thinking and reimagining clinical trials relative to patient-centric drug development. Virtual trials, for instance, helping to increase patient access, helping to increase community physician participation. And we think that, again, all enabled by real-world evidence, enabled by technology and digitalization. And then finally, we're thinking about real-world evidence as a solution for very novel trial design types. So, for instance, rare diseases where, in fact, supported by 21st Century Cures, where the agency is accepting real-world evidence, historical comparators, natural history of disease, and even thinking about the future of synthetic control arms, where we can get drugs approved with a single arm and doing that in a very expeditious modality.
That's a great perspective, and I understand, too, that rare diseases is driving a lot of the productivity in clinical trials today because of its unique place in the space. So it is changing the paradigm for larger trials for more general diseases. Are you finding that to be true?
Indeed. I just recently, Tufts brought out an impact report highlighting that, unfortunately, despite these breakthrough designation, orphan drug designation, the acceleration of regulatory approval, with orphan drugs, it's actually what they're finding over the last few years, that it's a 2.3-year increase as compared to other drugs from the time the orphan drug has been actually submitted, and to the approval or launch time frame. So we do have to be using these very tools that we've just discussed to get to that right patient population. In fact, Tufts highlighted that two of the top reasons for this 2.3-year delay versus regular drugs is actually geographic distribution of the patient population. And then secondly, the very small, finding that needle in a haystack. And we have to resort to these mechanisms to actually, accelerate these timelines and getting cures to our patients faster.
Cynthia, thank you so much for your time and these wonderful insights.
Great. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
For more information on this topic, visit our Thought Leaders website.
For more Editors Take videos from the DIA Annual Conference, visit www.pharmavoice.com. Thanks for joining us.